Hi, I'm Brien Lundin of Gold Newsletter, and I'm at the Toronto Metals Investor Forum talking with Andre Tessier of Delta Resources. Andre, Delta has been on my in our Gold Newsletter portfolio for just a little over a year now, and I recognized or recommended the company because of the extraordinary value that it represents. You don't have a compliant resource. First off, let's set the stage. Delta Resources, their flagship project is the eponymously named Delta Project, Delta One Project. Yeah, keep it simple. But we're talking about a resource or a project or discovery that is likely north of, I have to really couch my words here, likely north of 1 million ounces, possibly much more than that. Starts at surface, relatively high grade for an open pit deposit, lots of expansion potential in one of the most infrastructure rich locales that I think I have ever seen for a discovery. Really amazing. So there, I've teased the audience. Why don't you fill in the gaps here?
All right. Thanks, Brian. In 2022, late 2022, we made a discovery. We intersected 31 meters of 5.9 grams per ton gold, including 14 meters of 11 grams per ton gold. That's what we consider our discovery hole there. We have been working there since 2019, but have since, at the end of 2023, we decided, well, let's take a look at how much gold we potentially have here. So we did an internal resource estimate, if you will. The TSX doesn't let us call it a resource estimate.
So it's an inventory.
It's an inventory, exactly. So we've defined this zone that's about 2 kilometers of strike length, 250 meters vertical, and up to 150 meter wide. And like you said, it's located 50 kilometers west of Thunder Bay. It's a 45-minute easy drive on the Trans-Canada Highway.
Yeah, 50 meters from the Trans-Canada
Yeah, 15
Highway, right?
meters from the Trans-Canada. You can throw stones at trucks that drive by. We've got power lines there. Most of the area has been logged already, so tree removal is not going to be much of an issue. In terms of capex, in terms of operating cost, in terms of environmental assessment, all of this should be accelerated and minimized. We are, as you said, in the best jurisdiction in the world for mining, we think, right here in Ontario. And we're continuing to develop this deposit. At this point, we figure we have anywhere between 1 and 2 million ounces, grading over a gram up to 1.3.
And your market cap?
Our market cap is $21 million.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So we're trading at 16 cents. We've got 134 million shares outstanding, and we're trading on the venture exchange under DLTA. So,
first off, there's two ways to look at this. One is value. If and when you define that resource, you're going to be able to show the market a value that is many times what your market value is now. I mean, in any normal market, a company with that much of identified resource, and again, infrastructure, geometry, grade, everything you could possibly want, would be trading at many times your market value.
Yes.
But this is still just the start of the story. You were talking earlier from the stage about how you really understand this deposit and how you are using that understanding to expand it. And I think along strike, but also at depth. Let's talk a bit about that.
Yeah, we just started a drilling program mid-January. We're drilling currently drill hole number 4 of that drilling program. So assays are still pending. The hole you're referring to, or one of, we just finished last week. So assays will take probably about a month. But the objective of this program is to just show how big this deposit is. We know we're dealing with a big system. It's It's about 5 kilometers altogether. I'm talking about the alteration in the structure that we've defined so far. We know it's at least 300 meters vertical because we've intersected the zone that deep. All the rocks are super altered, mineralization. Every rock type is mineralized. So we know it's intense, it's large, it's multi-phase, so it lasted a very long time. This deposit had time to percolate and get bigger and bigger. So now we want to prove size. So what we're doing is we're taking steps to show just how deep the roots of the system are going. And one of our initial drill holes was 790 meters deep and intersected a zone of about 200 meters with a dike swarm that's extremely altered. So it's just showing us, as I said, we don't have the assays yet. We're confident we're going to have some anomalous gold at the very least, but the deposit, the footprint is getting larger and larger.
And that dike swarm, that, in looking at your presentation earlier, that seems to be associated with the mineralization, right? But it doesn't host the mineralization?
Actually, every rock type there does host mineralization. Okay. So the dikes do host gold. And we know that they're definitely spatially associated, but we believe now that they're temporally and we believe also genetically related. So we think that these intrusions might actually be the source of our gold. So when you intersect that wide an intercept at depth like this, it's telling you the source is still there. So you've got, again, that potential for large deposits.
And that's expressing an example of your confidence in the project and your understanding of that you're going to depth. One of the things you have not talked about, but I've noticed from watching your news releases over the past 6-8 months or so, is that you've become very aggressive in picking up surrounding land. That tells me something. Why don't you tell our audience what that means?
Right. So the property is now 315 square kilometers. This deposit is a delta discovery. We discovered this deposit, a model that was never attempted before in that greenstone belt. And now, as you explained, we're starting to have a much better understanding of the deposit, how it formed, where and why it formed there. And we've identified at the belt scale other areas that show the exact same geological setting. So our objective was to acquire the ground where we think we have a chance to intersect or to find similar deposits. So really at the property scale, this large property, we think that we have the potential to discover multiple deposits of similar type.
And I perhaps am personally taking it a bit further. What it kind of told me was that you're trying to pick this ground up for cheap because you think people are going to realize what you have.
Well, there's since we made the discovery, a lot of the ground was staked, and that made ground a little bit more difficult to acquire. That said, the people that we deal with, the people that we acquired the ground from, know that we have the expertise in the area, and they want to deal with us. So that's made it a bit easier. We've contacted a lot of them, but a lot of them have contacted us to form joint ventures or to acquire their properties and leave them with a small royalty.
Well, let's talk quickly in the time we have left about the catalyst coming up. What's coming up? You've got those 2 deep holes.
Yeah.
That'll be probably the next piece of news out when you get results there?
That will likely be the next piece of news. Assays take anywhere between 4 weeks, and if we need to do a second round of assays, might be an extra 2 weeks.
Okay.
But those are going to be the first holes coming out. We're going to be drilling a minimum of 10,000 meters in this first phase. This is going to bring drilling up to at least to the month of April, which means that news flow is going to continue to come from this drilling program into the summer.
Into the summer, yeah. And how well are you funded right now?
We have $5 million in the bank, so we are fully funded for 2025. We're drilling for about $250 per meter, all inclusive. So we have enough money to actually do 2 of these phases of drilling.
Well, great. Andre, thank you so much. This is one of the happier discoveries I've made over the last year or so. You're not quite as undervalued as you were when I first discovered you and put it in the newsletter, but not far removed from it. It really is one of the most exciting value/exploration stories I see out there. So thank you so much.
Thank you
for giving us a story.
Thank you, and I agree.
Good.